I was last week in Kiev and I had an interview with President Zelensky and met my colleague Dmytro Kuleba. And to them, I conveyed the same message. All that Spain is doing, all we want, all that the different European governments are doing is to bring peace back to Ukraine, which means to bring peace back to Europe. I hope that the withdrawal that we are seeing of the Russian troops, it's a definitive one, and that they go back within the borders of the Russian Federation that they had never should left. What we want is that diplomacy and dialogue will be the ones that will prevail in any difference, in any doubt that Russia can have concerning Ukraine. I hope that this is a first step. At the same time, other signs are not positive, and therefore I cannot be completely optimistic about it, because when we see that there is an enrolling in the army by Vladimir Putin that is going on right now, when we see that bombings and the use of missiles and drones continue in Ukraine, that means that the Russian aggression continues. But we want to give all the chances to dialogue and diplomacy.
Yep. What conditions then would you need to see in order for one to start thinking about the pursuit of a diplomatic solution to this?
They are on the table. Until the very last moment, European members, the Spanish government, the NATO allies, we were sitting next to Russia in all the different forums in which we talk with Russia. The OSCE, the Council, the Russia-NATO Council, the different bilateral dialogues that we have, the Normandy format, and we are there. We are waiting for them to go back. This must be, of course, within the respect of the United Nations charters, which means that war is not a way to settle disputes between states, and the respect of the territorial integrity and the sovereignty of Ukraine.
I want to turn to one of the other major pressing issues on the continent as a function of the war, of course, and that is the energy crisis. For a lot of this year, we've talked about the Iberian Peninsula sort of being a self-contained energy peninsula because it didn't have a lot of pipelines into the rest of the continent. But with the announcement of the Barmar pipeline, hopefully that is going to change. How significant is this agreement, you think, on Barmar?
I think it's very important, because right now there are two things. We have to reshuffle the energy market in Europe. Europe cannot be in this situation ever again. And the second thing, we cannot allow to weaponize gas or any energy supply. And Spain, that has no dependency at all from the Russian gas, and that has almost 40% of all the LNG regasification capacity in Europe with the different plants that are around our coast, has put on the table several possibilities, several solutions to reshuffle the market and to avoid this dependency from the Russian gas that once that has become a weapon threatens our sovereignty. One of them is to complete interconnections, and this Barmar tube is one of the possibilities because it will connect the Iberian Peninsula with the rest of the European pipeline.